Hey everyone, it's Corey. It's a thought I want to share. Now, if you're sensitive, you may want to be careful about hanging in here. I'm not politically correct, though I'm not vulgar. Vulgarity comes from a negative source. And we all know that because when we're vulgar in front of certain people, we apologize for it. So if it wasn't negative, we wouldn't apologize or feel bad for using certain language. But anyways, that's just a little tidbit and I've been guilty of that. And probably, hopefully I won't be, but have been in the past. But I've been thinking about some things, and really been stirred up about a story my aunt was sharing with me a little while ago as I was home visiting my parents. We got together and on a Sunday evening, and my aunt came by with my cousin and her husband. We're sitting around chatting, and suddenly the topic came up about school and what's going on in schools today. And my aunt said, she said, Corey, do you know that such and such, her grandson, came home the other day and said, Nan, guess what they're teaching? They said, teaching us in school about masturbation. I said, what? This can't be true. You're kidding with me. No, she said, masturbation. Teachers are required now to teach grade 5 students, I believe. Now, I'm not sure if that's the exact facts, but I do know it's in primary or elementary, whatever you call that. Elementary, I guess, in grade 5, in that area, about masturbation. So a female teacher has to teach a young boy about masturbation. For what end, I don't know what the purpose of it is. And on the flip side, I imagine if you're a male student or teacher in that same environment, you would be responsible to teach about masturbation as well. But there's girls there as well. So they're talking to young girls. Can you imagine? An adult man. Like, I got 3 granddaughters. We got 2 daughters. An adult man talking to my grade 5, 10-year-old granddaughter about masturbation. Like, is there something wrong with us? Really? I mean, and I say that us because we accept that. We accept the silliness that's going on in our education system today. The perverted thinking. And when I say perverted, I'm not just aligning that with sexual perversion, because that's what it is. But perverted thinking is wrong thinking, man. I mean, there's right, there's wrong, and the system wants to skew what's right and wants to skew what's wrong. So one is not accepted and the other is. And it's also skewing good and evil, calling good what is evil and evil what is good. We're in for a downfall. And this is happening in our children. Now think about this for a minute. Where does this go? The school system then is setting up committees or ways for sexually abused children to let students or teachers or counselors know in a way, a safe way, so they can address these things if they're victims of them. And on the flip side, they're sowing seeds of sexual perversion in the minds of their very faculty, their teachers. Now, if you don't think that infects them, you're wrong. Not everyone, but there are certain ones that'll respond to that in a negative way. It'll excite them. Now, we're all adults, and we've all had fantasies, or most everybody's had fantasies, and these fantasies can become so powerful, that within our own thinking, that we feel as though we are living in them and through them, and it gets expressed in the biochemical body. We feel it. And we're planting these little minute seeds in the minds of the faculty of educators. And in a short period of time, these things will turn into fantasy because it arouses them. And when it arouses them, I'm not saying, again, it's not, but this is going to happen. This will happen. And you'll see an increase of sexual misconduct in the education system. And then they'll be slamming teachers and people for it, even students who grow into into high school and things like that, because it's been planted in their mind. Not only that, the pervertedness of sexual identity be planted in their mind. And we think we're doing good. What's good there? What good can come out of that? What would be the outcome, good and positive outcome of something like that? It's destroying our nation. You know, the greatest empire that existed was probably the Roman Empire. And at the time, Rome was at the height of its, magnificence, its greatness. There was no power on earth. I'm saying on earth. There was no power on earth that could destroy Rome. They could take up arms against them and achieve anything. Nothing. But history tells us that Rome was destroyed from within. What does that mean? It was destroyed from the lust of its own loins. Go read it. It's there. So if the Roman Empire, the greatest empire that ever existed, was destroyed from sexual perversion and self-pleasure, and by the way, if you don't know this, I think 12, 13 Caesars, I know there's people that know this stuff. 10 of them were homosexuals, and a few of them were pedophiliacs. And the greatest empire in the world that ever existed was destroyed from within. That's what's happening in North America. That's what's happening in Canada. It's happening through our education system. Look, man, I was a young boy once. When I grew into teenage years, nobody had to teach me how to masturbate. And I said there might be sensitivity. Nobody had to tell me if I was a boy or a girl. Nobody can tell me that now. If a male has testicles, he's a boy. There's no doubt about that. It's perverted thinking that tries to get you to speak these different pronouns and get into this silliness. Silliness is what it is. I don't know. But after hearing that evening, I was stirred up by it. Thinking about my granddaughters having to go through an education system like that. What hope do they have for their future? They're being destroyed from within. They're destroying their identity. Say they're rebuilding. They're not. They're destroying their identity. They're destroying their creativity. They're destroying their confidence. And they're trying to conform them into a way of thinking that is destructive, it's negative, and it's evil, and it's wrong. But yet the education system, the people we have in charge, are saying it's healthy. Human beings weren't created to follow a pattern like that. They learn from a programmed message that's repeated over and over and over what they see, and they conform into an environment of that. And there's lots more we can talk about. There's pillars of society and how this all affects it. But I just wanted to bring to an awareness today. There's got to be more than me out there that's troubled by that, and I'm at home in my own cave and just sitting around, like, letting that happen. The political powers to be don't respond to the premier or the prime minister. Let's keep this in our hearts and minds. We have the power. And if we got representatives in the House of Commons or in Parliament that aren't following the moral and ethical standards that created the great nations we live in and enjoy, then we must speak to that. And we must empower our MPs, empower our MHAs to give them the power to say, don't worry about what the Premier says. Don't worry about towing the party line. Don't worry about what these scientists who are paid and lulled into this way of thinking. And we'll talk more about that. I can tell you why. I can tell you why they're lulled into that and why they think that way. But we're not going to do that today. But we have the power. We, the people, have the power. We are their employers. Let's empower our politicians and the people we put in power to say, no, that's enough. We need to change that. And get this stuff in there and say, that's enough. That's enough. Okay? Majority rule in democracy is a very powerful thing. And it's what gives democracy its strength. But majority rule on a wrong idea, majority rule on an evil idea, does not create right behavior or right environments. We have to control it. And I'm sure there's more out there that feel the way I do. Listen, if you do, please like, share this video. Let's talk about it. Let's talk more about this. Let me know what you think. I think we need to rise up, join together. There's enough of this. It's our children. It's our future for our children. What legacy are we going to leave? We're going to show them we're weak. We didn't stand up for what we believed in, the principles, the morals, the ethics that created such a great nation. We're just going to let that erode and be destroyed from the lust of our loins, from within. Because we tolerate it, because we're busy. Every one of us are going around serving the different systems of the world. If you're an electrician, you're serving the systems. If you're a politician, you're serving the systems. If you're a doctor, you're serving the systems that make up the world system. And they keep you buried in it. So you don't have time, and tolerance comes out. And keep blasting a message over and over and over. And you feel like a moron if you think differently. Well, listen, it's time to be enlightened. That's why there are some that are enlightened. And let's enlighten each other. This is wrong. And this will do nothing for society. It'll do nothing for your children. It'll do nothing for the generations to come. It'll put them in a position where they become dependent on a society that's corrupt and immoral. Restricted. It's time for that to change. And if this burns within you, even a flicker, if there's a flicker of light that comes on and says, you know, Corey, that's right. That's true. I mean, I've not started no cause. I've not started anything. But let's share this information and let's make a change here. It's time for us to make a change. It's time for us who believe in some sense of morality, ethical behavior, to say, hey, enough's enough. And I know there's more than my family that gets together on a Sunday evening, sharing and discussing these disgusting things that are happening in the world, not just in the education system, but throughout the world, and throughout the different systems, economic systems and health systems and community systems and whatnot. There's more than our family that's doing that. Way more. So now let's take it outside of our house. And you don't even have to get out and speak about it. All you have to do is say, hey, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. This is truth. We need to stop this. We can't allow this. You see demonstrations happening all around Canada now. You're seeing, different religious organizations come together. Now, religion is a pillar, and I'm not a religious man. I don't believe in religion because that too is infiltrated by evil at the top. And it doesn't represent the kingdom of God, what I believe in. But I'm going to put that to the side. You don't have to believe in that to know what's right. You can talk to a 2-year-old and they'll tell you what's right. It's in us. We know that. Don't be confused by this stuff. Believe in what you know is true and stand up, because there's truth and there's fact. And truth always overrides fact. Facts change, man. Fact is, I just walked with my dog and we had a great walk and it was great. But when I get home, I'll be home. But the truth is, I love walking. It was amazing to walk in nature, and that truth will always be there. It's refreshing. It creates health in my body. It creates creativity in my mind. It's wonderful. That's the truth. That won't change whether I'm home or in the woods walking. But the facts will change. And let's not allow that to rule our lives anymore. Truth is the primary principle we have to stand on if we're going to go forward into a society today, especially today, that's going to be productive, creative, and full of life. And it starts there. So if you agree with anything I'm sharing here today, if you think, you know what, Corey, there's truth to this. There's people out there that can help us organize. There's people out there who might be able to put something forth. I'm encouraging you, share this. Let's talk about this. Let's bring it forward. And let's put a stop to this silliness. Let's put a stop to it. Let's not ruin our children's lives and put them into a mess where they've got to be put on antidepressants and drugs for this and medicated for that. And this is what it's all about too. Anyways, I don't want to go there. I'm going to start with this. I'm not politically correct. I'm sorry. I fell back today. So please, if any of this rings true to you, and I know I'm a little long here, then don't ignore it. At least share it. At least let's start talking about it. At least let's raise a voice and let's see where that takes us. This is the first step. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and let's keep prospering into goodness, into rightness and into a way forward that is productive and prosperous for our children, our communities.